Hey, it's Mario here, and in this video I decided to share with you guys the 3 worst pieces of advice that I ever got in the gym. So this was something that I got when I first started out in the first year of training. I got a lot of these bro tips from guys around the gym that were bigger than me, who looked better than me, who were training longer than me. I was looking for mentorship. I was asking for advice for anybody I could. I was like, okay, shit, this guy looks better than me. He must know some kind of diet secret. He must know some kind of supplement or some kind of training trick. And obviously, when you approach someone like that, and if you just look up to them like that, they will spit out all sorts of nonsense just to, I guess, take that role of mentorship to feed their ego a little bit. So I got a lot of different kind of bro tips that I adopted in my training. It really led me to some weird things. So I wanted to share with you guys the top 3 and the worst piece of advice that I ever got. So I'm sure you got a fair share of these type of things in the gym. So starting with the number 1, the worst piece of advice I ever got is that you do not need to train your legs, that it's enough just to do running, and the running and just walking around will be enough to build really good, lean, muscular legs. So you don't want those big legs that the big bodybuilders have. You want those lean, ripped legs, and you don't need to do any kind of training. You just need to do running, because if you do training, this guy told me, is that if you train them with squats and deadlifts, what's going to happen is that your hips will grow and they will expand, and you're going to lose that symmetrical look. That symmetrical V taper where it's like a narrow waist, really wide shoulders. And I was like, shit, man, I don't want to lose that. And I want that kind of physique. And the guy was like, no, you have to stop doing squats. You have to stop doing deadlifts. You can only do leg extensions once a week and not too many sets. Don't train the legs too hard. You just do some running. And I actually bought into this hardcore. I was like, well, I'm going to build that Greek god looking physique. I'm going to be building that nice little symmetrical physique. I was basically looking to build that Hollywood actor kind of look, like that Frank Zane style, like old school bodybuilders, like really narrow waist, wide shoulder. And I was really buying into this. So for those 7-8 months, I didn't train legs at all. My legs were severely underdeveloped compared to my upper body. All that newbie gain that I was getting for the upper body, my legs were missing out. So I didn't get any growth in my legs. My legs felt horrible. If I look at back in my pictures, I was like, shit, those legs just don't look developed at all, and I was really suffering, and I had to train those legs really hardcore afterwards. Once I really got into the science and learning and learned better methods, I really had to hit the legs hardcore, and that's what I've been doing for about 4 years now. They're pretty well developed now, but back in the day, I bought into this bro tip and really screwed me over for like those 7-8 months. I missed out on a lot of strength gains as well, because those deadlifts and those squats make you overall a stronger person. And it's just one thing that if I could return back time, if I could tell myself that with this type of knowledge that I have right now, I would definitely do my squats and my deadlifts. I wouldn't skip on those. So the worst piece of advice, number 2, that I got was actually that if you train longer than 45 minutes, so anything past the 45-minute mark, you're going to lose muscle. So you can build muscle, but it's all built in the first 45 minutes, because afterward, the testosterone drop, as this bro told me, like testosterone drops, anything past the 45 minutes, you're losing muscle. So you have to get your protein shake as soon as you finish those 45 minutes and run out of the gym, no more training. And I really bought into this as well, because this guy was very knowledgeable. He was studying articles. He was telling me, well, this was some new science, new research. He read this some kind of magazine from the United States, from Canada. And it's like the latest thing, And I was really bought into this, because I thought, well, shit, it makes kind of sense. 45 minutes. I do feel a little bit stronger in the beginning, and my workout kind of sucks in the end. So, and I asked him how do you apply this, and he was like giving me his methods. And what he said basically was like, you want to cram up as many sets, like cram in as much work as possible in those first 45 minutes. As many sets as you can with lowest stress period as you can, and that will allow you to build as much muscle as possible. And then at that 45 minutes, you just exit the gym, no matter how many sets you have left. And I implemented this. I was really doing this. I was not resting at all almost. I was doing super sets. I was doing tri-sets. I was doing giant sets. I was combining everything. So the whole 45 minutes was just one big set. And I was super, super exhausted. I was doing this for about 3 months. I didn't progress in strength almost at all, right? At the best, I was just maintaining my strength. I was really walking out of the gym destroyed, exhausted, like burnt out. I was like passing out in training. I was almost puking, at some point, especially when I was combining like all these supersets. it was really a horrible piece of advice, because when we look at the actual evidence, and I made a video about this, like what is the ideal rest period between sets, and I'm going to link that video in the description below, is that it really doesn't matter. You just want to rest enough to be able to use that heavy load that you need to stimulate. You want to make sure that the rest period is not interfering with the amount of volume that you're doing, reps times sets times weight. So you don't want the rest period to be limiting you in a sense that it doesn't allow you to lift as heavy. And that's a problem, right? If you do like 30 seconds rest, you might do the first set, and the second set is already, you have to reduce the weight by 25%. And really that weight, that progress in strength, is what makes you grow. So you don't want to sacrifice volume for resting less. And that doesn't make any sense, because those low rest periods aren't correlated with any extra growth. I mean, if you look at the research from Brad Schoenfeld, Menno Henselmans, I'm going to link up a couple of studies. I mean, it's clear that rest periods don't play a role in muscle growth. I mean, you can definitely grow a lot better if you give yourself enough rest, and if you really take time and you will do a higher quality workout, and you're going to be able to get stronger and better in the gym. So that was a really big mistake that I suffered from, and I was really bought into not resting a lot for a very long time. I think for the first 3 years of training, I didn't rest between sets longer than a minute and a half, and I think that was definitely limiting my strength. As soon as I gave myself more rest, that I was really progressing a lot faster in terms of strength. The third and the final mistake that I want to reveal here, and that is the one that you need to train to muscle failure if you want to build muscle. So if you're not taking it to failure, you're not building any muscle. And I got this piece of advice from a guy in the gym that was a friend of mine. I mean, still is a friend of mine, and it was really bad advice, right? So if you think about it, I mean, not even going into the research, which I'm going to link in the description below again. I mean, there's a lot of research done on the subject. There's no benefit whatsoever so far that we know from going to muscle failure. There might be some potential benefit, but it's not as nearly as important as getting your volume and progressing volume, progress your overload, getting stronger over time. And that is the most important factor. So when we look at muscle failure, what's the problem with muscle failure? Well, let's say I can do 3 sets of 10 with 225, 100 kilos of bench press. And I can do those 3 sets of 10. I mean, it's going to be hard, but I'm going to have a couple of reps left in the tank. But what if I just decide to take that first set to failure? So I take the first set to 12 reps instead of 10, and I really take it to failure. Like I barely get the last rep, even fail, and someone has to lift the weight up. So what happens there is that the second set that I'm already back at like 7 or 8 reps. I can barely get more than 7 or 8 reps with 225. And the third set now, I can barely get even 8 reps. I probably have to reduce the weight. And that's a big problem, because now, what am I doing? I'm sacrificing volume, that reps times sets times weight. I'm sacrificing the amount of load that I'm doing for that muscle failure effect that I got in the first set. Not only for the first exercise, but for the whole session now. If I'm training chest, I'm going to be suffering. I'm not going to be able to recover enough, because that first set that I really took to failure, I kind of blew my load. I just went all out and just destroyed my recovery ability. It gathered too much fatigue, and now I can't do a quality workout. And I see these mistakes all the time, especially the third one, this muscle failure mistake. It happens all the time. If you've been to Planet Fitness, any commercial gym, you'll see guys spotting each other, pushing it really to failure, like one more rep. Even personal trainers, pushing guys to do one more rep. It's kind of cool. It makes kind of logical sense. It made logical sense to me. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger in Pumping Iron, that those last couple of reps really count. And like the late Muhammad Ali said, he starts counting reps when it starts hurting. It's all about that pain. And I really resonate with that, because I was like, okay, no pain, no gain, right? But it's really not like that. The gains really come from the progressive overload component and you getting stronger over time. And you can definitely get stronger over time and build muscle without going to muscle failure. And it's probably much more effective, especially if you're someone who's had more experience in the gym and now you're lifting heavy loads. Taking a squat, if you're squatting 150, 200 kilos, that's an insane amount of weight. If you go to failure, that's going to generate a ton of fatigue, and it's going to destroy your whole workout and probably your whole week if you do that with deadlifts, right? So you can't really take every set to failure. Where can you use failure and how I use failure right now? Well, I just go to failure on my isolation movements and those last couple of lifts in the workout. Let's say I'm doing lateral raises. Let's say I'm doing like calf raises at the end of the workout, or some ab work or something like that. I can take that to failure, because it's not going to interfere with the growth of the rest of the workout and the quality of the rest of the workout, because I know I got my stimulants from the first couple of compound lifts. I took them to basically that limit where it's like I have one more rep left in the tank, or 2 more reps left in the tank, depending on your program design. And now I'm basically looking to progress in terms of strength rather than burning myself out. And when it comes to those isolation movements, I mean, I definitely do go to failure pretty frequent, like once or twice a week on these movements. I will definitely go to failure, and that's fine, because if there is some potential benefit of going to failure, I'm doing it in a smart way. I'm going to do it with isolation movements with smaller muscle groups that can recover faster as well, and you're not using heavy as loads in general. So hope you guys enjoyed. I mean, these were the 3 worst pieces of advice that I ever got in the gym. I mean, there's plenty of more where this came from. I got a shit ton of weird advice over the years, and now I'm basically looking forward to hearing from you. What is the worst piece of advice that you ever heard in the gym? It might not be given to you, but maybe to your friend. So let me know in the comments below. Aside from that, make sure to hit that subscribe button below right in the face to support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.